Hey, welcome to Five Lakes Garage, the home of random projects. We have lists, we have Jeeps, we have trucks, we have food. You name it, we got it. So help out the channel by just hitting that subscribe button. And if you like the video, go ahead and like it. And if you really like the video, like it and then tell a friend. But stay tuned, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna let you go because I got stuff to do. Hey, welcome back to Five Lakes Garage, and today we're actually going to solve one of my problems that I currently have right now. I have a CJ5. It's roughly 6 feet across, maybe a little shorter, but then it's also almost 9 feet long, which is not very big. And I have this utility trailer that's rated to 7,000 pounds. I got two 3,500 pound axles under it, but it's only a 6x9, so it will fit, but not by much. So what I need to do is actually make it bigger. So what we're going to do today is actually cut this little guy down. Now, this is something I made years ago, actually at the very beginning of getting my welder. So some of the welds, yeah, they're ground down because I didn't know how to weld, but I got a lot better now. Actually, those are solid steel C-channels that I picked up from network racks from a previous employer that I used to have. They're basically 3 inches high by 1.5 inches in. So what I'm planning on doing with this is actually making a dovetail for this trailer. So another thing I want to do is actually replace the axles. Now, I just replaced these axles a few years ago, but they're straight axles. At the time, didn't really care. But right now, if I'm going to put a Jeep on that thing, I don't want to have it too high. So what we're going to do is actually put some lowering axles on this. So I'm going to run down to Agri Supply. We're going to pick those up a little bit later. But first, I got a lot of cutting and a lot of measuring and all that good stuff to actually put this on there. Now let's go take a look a little bit closer at this trailer and see if it's actually going to work. All right, so this is a 3-inch, so it's basically the same as that over there, and it is a 1.5, so it's basically the same size C-channel. This just might be a little bit beefier, but it should be okay for what I'm planning on doing with it. It is a steel bed in the inside. All right, so it is a steel bed. I am not going to be putting a steel structure in the back. I was just going to use regular wood, even though today's day and age, the price of lumber is so high that it might be cheaper to put steel in. But we will see. We'll see what I got. So what I have, I'm going to tear this thing down, the bare frame, and then start mocking up and building at least a 2 foot. Is that a 2 foot? All right, and then we're gonna put a 3 foot dovetail on this guy. So then, what else we gotta do? Oh, and we're gonna take these perches off of the 2 axles, and we're gonna move them back because we are gonna be adding some more weight in the rear. So let's get this thing in the shop, start stripping it down and throwing some sparks. All right, so we're in the shop. I still got the big trailer outside, but I'm gonna start on this guy first because it's gonna be throwing the most sparks. So I do have the chop saw. You probably saw that earlier. We're going to try to use that as much as we can, only because this guy throws a lot of sparks. That one doesn't throw any sparks. So I'm just going to use mostly a cutoff wheel. I have a plug right there for a plasma cutter. I don't have a plasma cutter. So if you have one you want to donate to the cause, please hit me up at fivelakesgarage@gmail.com and you can become a sponsor. But if you do send one, make sure you bring me a banner as well. I want to put it up in the shop and make sure you get credit. So what do we got here? We do have a cutoff wheel. I have a few stacks of discs. Now this is just a basic 4.5 inch cutoff wheels. So you do have to be very careful while using your 4.5 inch cutoff wheel. A lot of people will take the guard off and just willy-nilly everything. I strongly recommend leaving the guard on. I had one that actually was a defect from the factory, broke off halfway through and went through my garage door. You don't want to have that through your gut. So keep the guard on. Also, make sure you have safety glasses. If you have a full face shield, that's even better. Mine broke. Again, if you have a spare face shield you want to donate to the cause, hit me up at 5lakesgarage@gmail.com. So anyway, I'm going to tear this down to bare minimums, and then we'll be able to see exactly what we have and how we can actually design the dovetail onto this trailer. Now, I know what you're thinking, especially if you follow the channel quite a bit. Why in the hell are you starting another project when you still have the transmission all torn apart? I did get the parts the other day, by the way, so hey, good job on that one. You have a transmission here, you have lockers to put in the CJ, you have all these other projects that you have not finished. I was like, well, I guess my only answer would be time. It is July, it is hot, and I have a perfectly good running CJ out there, not locked up yet, but it's only a matter of time before December comes around and Uwharrie closes. I want to get out there and start wheeling, but I'm not going to drive the CJ all the way out to Uwharrie because that is a few hour trip, and it's going to take a whole lot more hours, and I'm going to be wore out by the time I get there driving that CJ. So I want to go ahead and get this trailer up and running so I can start using it. So the transmission stuff is on hold. I got everything covered up because you do not want to have metal shavings in your transmission, especially right after you rebuild it or in the middle of rebuilding it. So kick back, relax, and if you like sparks, keep watching. All right, hopefully this gives you kind of a quick idea of what I was actually thinking about doing. I'm going to take all of these edges, kind of clean them up. I should be able to tack these two together and actually make the rear gate part. And then once I get all this stuff welded in, I'll be able to put it on the back of the trailer. I will cut angles at all the fronts so that it would be at a slight tilt. But I think I'm going to need to get the axles in to see how far down I need to go. Don't want to go too far down because then I'll just drag it. But this is the general concept. Just need to clean these up, cut them, and start welding them together. Now, some of the welds that I had about 10 plus years ago, some of them were really good. Took forever to get off. Other ones, yeah, I just used the hammer. I've learned a lot since then. So hopefully this thing will hold together, and it should be good. And then I should be able to put the Jeep on there and be relatively safe. Okay, you've actually seen this tool before, but I just want to give you a really good close-up on this thing because this thing is fantastically awesome. Now, I just cut this one right here. Nice and straight, good thickness of steel, zero sparks, zero mess. Well, I wouldn't say zero mess, but a little bit of a mess. But it just cut it like butter. And I want to show you, and I'm not even going to fast forward it. This is going to be real time cutting this next piece. Look at that, done. Nice and clean, no slag, no nothing. Perfect cut. I love this thing. It was pricey, but I do love it. All right, so one thing that I am trying to do on this, this is gonna be the back plate that goes all the way across, and as you saw a few minutes ago, I did actually try to put two pieces together to make the full length. So what I'm actually gonna do is do a Z-cut. So I'm gonna do 5 inches, it's basically gonna be 10 inches of Z-cut here. So I'm gonna cut in with the grinder here, all the way across, and do the same thing to the other side, and then I'm gonna run a weld all the way down. First I gotta clean it up, but run a weld on the outside, on the inside, and that should be strong enough to actually hold the back side up. Oh, man, this thing is heavy. All right, so I was gonna get the trailer in, but I stopped because I looked at the rest of these pieces and they do need a lot of cleaning. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up first. But first thing I wanna do is actually get the rear bracket finished. I had to put the two pieces together. You just saw me cut it. Now I just ground it down. And the big important thing on welding these type of things is that you have to bevel it. Make sure it's actually at a cone. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's kind of beveled in. Not too much, but just enough to where you need to prep it. There you go. So anyway, so you want to bevel it. Now make sure you get good penetration. Now I only have a SP 135T Lincoln welder. So basically it's a 110 welder. But I have never had a weld to fail. You just have to have the right technique and prep it, and prep it. Make sure you have clean steel that you're actually welding on. You don't want to have any contaminants in there like paint, rust, oils, any of that stuff. Make sure all that is off. And if you bevel it correctly, if you have to go over 2 or 3 times, then you go over 2 or 3 times. You just grind it down. We're not looking for a beauty contest here. Now, if I had a 220 welder, if I feel that my 110 is not enough, I'm going to go to my buddy Eric's. He's got a 220, beautiful welder, and I'll just take it over to his house and actually finish some of these welds. But the 110 should be able to do just fine for what I'm trying to do here. In some cases, I might have to go over 1 or 2 times. I kind of got a little bit off on my cut, but it's okay. And we're actually going to be able to make this really strong. Now, the first thing you want to do when you start welding is get your equipment out. Safety is #1. So I have a welding jacket that I'm going to put on. I also have a welding helmet. Also wear good leather gloves. We do have some of the actual welding gloves, which will be these guys, and these work great, but it's really kind of hard to actually maneuver. So if you get some of the TIG gloves, it actually works pretty well. Now I will be doing this in shorts. I do not recommend doing it in shorts, especially because when you start welding in that, especially with a MIG, and you get all those little tiny pebbles of molted steel flying, it's gonna get in your boot. But I only have 1 pair of pants, so I don't want to mess that up by welding. So take a look. All right, so it's all welded up. I gotta fill in a little bit right there. I kind of messed it, I don't know why. But anyway, if you look at the coloration, I got okay penetration. You got to keep the heat on there because I only got a 110 welder. But as you can see right over in here and right there, I kind of ground it down, and we should be able to make this flush. And hopefully you won't notice that it was patched together. Now this is not going to be a full-fledged show trailer. Why would it be? So I'm not worried about filling it in or anything like that, but I wanted to get enough weld in there to actually get good penetration. And like I said, the coloration, you're looking at about a 1/2 inch to almost 5/8 worth of heat into it. I'm not going to touch it right now because it is hot. But anyway, I'm going to fill this in right here, grind it down, and call it done. Throw some paint on it. So let's go. And then we got a lot of other grinding to do. Awesome. All right. Today's a brand new day, and we are going to get back onto the trailer project. So, went up to Agri Supply, picked up a few things. We have new axles. Now, these are 4-inch drop axles, and it should be able to fit right on these leaf springs that we already have. And there you go. And hopefully use this. I'm just going to use the same U-bolts. These axles are not that old, so if you need some 3,500 pound axles, they're about I believe 6 foot. I'll measure them out later and let you know. Anyway, they'll be available because I'm not going to need them anymore. They are straight. I want to get the drop so I'm not sitting so high. So what we got to do right now is actually tear off these wheels. We're going to tear off all of this board for the fencing around it, get rid of that, and pull those axles. And then once we put the new axles in, we can actually see how, sit at level and see what kind of angle we need to cut all of our brackets for a dovetail, so that it's not scraping on the ground or still wickedly high up in the sky. I'm kind of hoping for a 5 degree, maybe a 10 degree. But once we get it up, we'll find out. Put it on jack stands. Anyway, let's tear it down and see where we're sitting. All right, so the axles are out. I'm ready to put the drop axles in. I was really hoping I can reuse my U-bolts, but hey, didn't work out. Some of them were kind of galled up pretty bad, so I'm just gonna use them for mock-up, and then I'm gonna have to pick some up later. And actually, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought. This might have to be 2 videos, but hey, that's all right. There'll be more for you guys to watch. So let's put these axles in so I can get it down here, so I can get it down for ride height. And then I'll be able to weld up the rear section of it for the dovetail. Good. I can bring the axles back about 1 foot, which might be enough, I hope. Excuse me. So keep an eye out, and let's put these guys in here because it's getting late, and my neighbors are probably mad because I'm making a bunch of noise. All right, don't you hate it when a plan doesn't exactly go your way? Well, I was trying to get these new axles under there, and the setup I had before was spring over, and these are spring under, or at least pads is on the wrong side. So I can either cut these off and put them on the top, but I might mess that up. I only want to do this once, so I'm gonna have to go back to the store. So I need to get new U-bolts anyway, but I'll get some U-bolts, I'll get new pads. I can use the same hubs. I can use the same brakes. All of that should be the same. I just need new U-bolts and new pads for this axle. And then I'll just get rid of the paint, line it up 100%, and then burn it in with the welder. So anyway, that's gonna take me a few days. I got some other projects that need to happen. The kids are going back to school, so I'm gonna have to put this right here and clutter up the shop once again for a little bit longer. So what I might do is just go ahead and cut it here. I'll send this out to you guys, and then on part 2 it will be done. We still need to cut everything off the back here. We need to get our angle, we need to get our ride height. So many different things that needs to happen. So oh well, I'm gonna go grab a beer. I'm gonna go head to bed. So until next time we can finish this darn thing, keep watching, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll get it done one day. Sorry it's taking so long.